Hey, nobody's out there, right? Good. You shouldn't watch this. This is very self-indulgent. I'm just saying the same things I always say. Anyway, I have to read this thing because if I don't read the thing, I have kind of like a bad day, and I don't want to have a bad day. But I'm already kind of having like I feel like worse than normal because my day got off track. Nobody cares. I can get out of this pit if I do 33 minutes of burpees. All my problems are gone. But it's crazy. Nobody cares. But just for the record, since I've been reading the sheet regularly, like if I just read the sheet regularly, and if I do burpees regularly, and if I go running regularly, just every day is kind of like uh, Candyland. It's kind of like Candyland, and that's how I like it. I like days like Candyland. But then sometimes things will go unexpected. Like yesterday, I lost my glasses, and so now I can't really see very good. Like everything's kind of blurry, and that's significantly decreasing the quality of my day. No one cares, but I don't want to complain a lot. What do you have to say, Sean? Anyway, fuck it. So now I just got to do some burpees, and I got to read this thing, and I had to do a bunch of errands, but now I'm done. So I'm all behind, but it's fine. Uh, I'll just make up for it. I'll do it things tomorrow. Okay, so moving on. So what do I want to say? Okay, so I have to cut this short. I want to get this done in. I want to finish everything within the next hour and 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna. I want to say this all really fast. Okay, so basically, I have 10 minutes to say whatever's percolating on my brain. Just I feel really frustrated. This is my therapy session. Nobody should watch this, but I feel a little frustrated because there's like chaos. Like I lost my glasses, and then I had to go to this line, and then you have to go sign these forms, and you got to go in traffic, and you got to go all this stuff. It's like I hate all that shit. But anyway, it's over. But now my whole day is kind of off track, and so fuck it. I don't know. Shit happens, and tomorrow's another day. What else? What else is percolating on your brain? I just feel really frustrated. I feel like I feel like I fucking hate everybody. I fucking hate everybody. But I know how this. It's just I didn't get enough sleep, and now I'm frustrated because I can't really see, and I'm frustrated because the fucking lens crafters. I'm just gonna vent. No one should listen to this. I'm frustrated because fucking lens crafters. They say we'll make your glasses in about an hour. Every like, you know, every whenever I get the point, Sean. That's the whole fucking thing. The whole fucking lens crafters thing is like, we make your glasses in about an hour. You should pay more money for us because we make your glasses in an hour. And I come there, I'm like, hey, can you make the glasses in an hour? They're like, no, we need 10 days. I'm like, what the fuck? That's your whole fucking spiel. That's your whole fucking bullshit. Like, you make it in 10 days, I can go to Costco. So I went back to Costco and I got the glasses for half the price. And I was like, what the fuck? Lens crafters is fucking, it should go out of business. Anyway, but it's fine. I'm getting caught in stories. Like there's chaos, right? There's chaos, and there's other people's rules and the rigmarole, and they got to sign this thing, and they have you read the fine print, and they got to come back on Tuesday and shit. And you get caught up in their little thing, and then my brain is all like and like I'm all frustrated. If I read this thing, I go, oh right, the world is not words, and don't trip out about shit that you can't control. And I'm noticing just a really clear pattern. Like I was talking with my brother yesterday, and my brother has listened to my live stream, and I think a lot of people are aware of this kind of mindfulness stuff now, and it's become really clear to me over the last year that shit's basically always happening. There's shit happening, and then there's thoughts about shit happening, and if those thoughts are negative, they're going to spawn more negative things, and then when they start spawning more negative thoughts, that makes me emotionally aroused, and then if I get angry, I think more negative shit, and I have to like nip that in the bud, and I have to just read the spiel, and if I just do that once a day, I go, oh yeah, there's probably no free will, and don't trip out about shit you can't control. And you'll think good stuff later. Right now you're tripping. It's weird. Like I don't know how other people's brains work, but my brain really seems to work that way. There's basically like negative thoughts, and they kind of linger in my brain for like hours. They kind of fade away, and then by tomorrow they'll like 2 days they'll all be gone, and then I'll be like, hey, everything's Candyland again. I just have to get enough sleep, and then I have to forget about the negative shit that I'm dwelling on. But it takes a while. And also like just putting some new shit in my brain makes me forget the bad shit. And that's just an ongoing process. It's kind of like I'm always kind of tripping like a stoner. There's just stories. There's stories flowing through my head based upon like shit happening. And then if I have negative stories in my head, they make emotional arousal, and then I have to like chill out and just wait for some positive stories to go in my head, and then I'm fine, and I get enough sleep. And basically, it's just an ongoing thing. And it's not a perfect process because sometimes just chaotic shit happens, like my glasses get smashed or some shit, and it's like, fuck, my whole day is off track. But I don't know. Then I got to read this spiel. So now I'm gonna read my spiel, and I'm gonna remind myself that I don't know, shit happens. There's just physical reality. There's just physical reality, otherwise known as that's what happened. Now, when you start saying like, why did that happen? It shouldn't have been like that. I should have done this. I should have done that. That's all like a lot of blah 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 blah. There might not even be free will. If there's no free will, there really is just kind of shit happening, and then thoughts about shit that happened, and that's it. And the sooner I can get my thoughts to dwell on positive stuff and forget about the negative stuff, the sooner I'll feel better. And that shit is just happening for my whole fucking life. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like a stream of fucking thoughts. And so I'm diverting that. So I'm infusing a positive stream for like 30 minutes a day. And if I don't do this, it's like, I don't know why I ever expected to have like just positive thoughts going in my head. Like by default, there's gonna be a bunch of negative shit that's gonna go in there. And I can sit in the negative stream, or I can turn the spigot and turn on a positive stream and go, hey, let's like think some positive shit. And that's what this is about. And so I don't know. What do you do? Who the fuck are you, man? What do you do? Anyway, works for me. So I'm gonna keep doing it as far as I know, I'm not breaking any laws. No one cares what you do, Sean. I care. This is my channel. All right, so moving on. Oh, so what do we want to read? Okay, so find any improv duo. So I did that. I want to read this fast. I'm really low on time today. Okay, so I like overthinking. I should do less thinking. I should do more action. What else? I want to stay mentally and physically and socially fit. If I do nothing else, I just want to hit those bases. Basically, I just want to do some sort of mental work to stay good at the things that my hobbies. I want to stay physically fit, so I'm gonna do some kind of like 30 to 40 minute workout plus jujitsu. And then I'm gonna stay socially fit. I'm gonna do some sort of interaction with people, whether at jujitsu or some sort of chat or improv acting or something like that. And that's it. That's all. That's what I want to do. Okay, so what else? Was there a problem that you encountered yesterday where you're like, I wish I knew how to get around that problem? Yeah, I want to wear like animal ears and an animal nose and a scar on my face. Just for the record, when I went to Costco today, two women said, I love your hair. Just out of nowhere, random women, nobody ever even talks to me. Like, I love this hair now because like, I just feel like, well, nobody fucking talks to me anyway. And everybody just treats me like I don't exist, which is like, I don't really mind, but I'm like, well, what the fuck, what do I have to lose by wearing bunny ears or some shit? It's like, nobody fucking interacts anyway. And so I feel like there's this new world where like, I don't know, I'm like an older person. It's not like the 80s anymore or the 90s. I feel like people are a little more like, you do you. Like, you do you. And I'm like, really? Can I just do me? Well, I want to wear fucking bunny ears. If no one else really cares, I'm like, fuck it, why not? And so I'm going to try, I'm one of these days, if I have the guts to do like animal ears and a scar on my face, and then like an animal nose, I just want to use that all day long and go to Costco and just talk to people. If I have to talk to like a checkout person, just be like, yeah, this is normal. This is my standard get up. Like, what do you do? And isn't everybody doing this now? Don't you do this? And I think that's it. Kind of like makes life less serious. Currently, nobody cares, but just for record, currently I have my hair red, and that kind of solves the like. I just feel like nobody's listening, right? But I really understand Bruce Jenner. I don't know if I really understand Bruce Jenner, but I kind of relate to Bruce Jenner because I just feel like, what do you feel like, Sean? I just feel like just being a grown-up kind of sucks, and I don't really want to play the role of a man particularly. I'm not gay, but I just look at like the typical humdrum shit that people do in the adult world. I'm like, you can fucking keep it. And so I sort of relate to Bruce Jenner in the sense that he was a pretty young person. Like when he was young, he was kind of like a cute, like pretty person. And I wasn't like a drop-dead gorgeous person. But it just sucks to just get old and be like a just typical boring old guy. And I'm like, well, I have this theory that I don't want to talk about this a lot. I don't want to talk about. See, I'm in a particularly dark, bad mood right now, and so I have to be careful not to like spawn of a whole bunch of negative, downward spiral thoughts. But basically, get to the point, Sean. Basically, I feel like aging. It's kind of like it's like meat back in Christopher Columbus time. They had rotting meat, and the meat was still edible. It was still okay, but it was kind of gross. And so people were like, just put some like pepper on it, put some spices. They had a demand for spices. That's what Christopher Columbus was originally going for, because they didn't have refrigeration. And so they had all this rotten meat that was still good, but it was kind of like gross. And I think humans are basically like that too. After the age of like 35 or 40, they're not like dead, but they're kind of like gross, and so you can't. If you try to do plastic surgery, they don't have like perfect plastic surgery, and so you basically can be like funky weird. You can make it weird like with some spices or some weird shit, or you can be authentically old. And I think weird is preferable to authentic old. That's what I think Bruce Jenner did too. I think Bruce Jenner was like, well, I can't be like 20 anymore. I can't be a kid, but I can be weird. If I be a woman, I can wear makeup. I can have hair extensions. I'll take weird. You got authentic old weird. I'll take weird, and I think it's great. Like I just keep thinking like there's no law against this, right? I would for sure feel way better wearing this shit all day long to cover my melting face. And so, what's the point, Sean? I just have this voice in my head that says, "No one cares what you do, Sean. I mean, you'll probably have a hard time getting a job or getting a girlfriend." I'm like, whatever. I don't even want a job. I don't want a girlfriend. I'll take the fucking face makeup. If I could just wear this until I'm dead, I'll have a lot more fun in old age. Something like this, some sort of mask, and I just think it's great. But have it be fun. The other thing too is like if I dye my hair, I don't want to seem like I'm serious. I don't want to seem like I'm a serious person. I want people to perceive me as a beautiful person. I just want to be like obviously like not serious. And so what's the point? I'm gonna try to do this if I can eventually. I ordered on Amazon some ears, and I ordered some a small clown nose and like face scars, and I'm just gonna see if I can get away with wearing this shit in real life. Anyway, I don't want to talk about aging anymore. That's my downward spiral. If I want to go to a real dark place, my brain, if I don't consciously direct my thoughts to positive shit, my brain's going to go to aging. It's a dark triad: aging, death, and sex. Aging, death, sex. Aging, death, sex. The aging makes me think of death. The death makes me think of sex. The sex makes me think of aging. The aging makes me think of death. It's fucking bad. And so in the morning I really have to read. I don't have to, but if I don't read this thing, I'm gonna get into like a dark place. All right, so moving on. That's pathetic. Well, that's me. That seems to be. That's what I do. If I don't do it, it's not good. All right, so moving on. Problem. Is there a problem that you encountered yesterday that you want to fix? Yeah, that's it. I want to be able to wear animal ears and an animal nose and a scar on my face. So I got some scar tattoos. I got these little temporary tattoos that you can like put on your face. I wish I could just paint this. I basically just want this filter on all the time. It'd be great. I feel like a kid again. I was telling, nobody's listening, right? I was talking to my brother yesterday, and I was basically saying, if you had a kid, like if you just had like a little kid who was playing video games and just enjoying playing with his friends or whatever, doing art or whatever, and then all of a sudden the kid's face was like melting, that kid would be traumatized. He'd be like crying. He'd be like, oh my God, I'm like some middle-aged person. That's basically every human. Every human is like, they were a kid, now they're fucking old, and it's just a more delayed traumatic experience, but it sucks to fucking what? I don't know. Just to be a don't talk about aging. I don't know. Basically, it's not a big deal. I know the typical thing is like, man up, dude. Fucking everybody deals with. Just fucking suck it. I know. But if you can do this, I think it's better. So I'm gonna try to get away with this later. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to talk about aging or death. Moving on. Okay, so eye contact, meditate. What else? Also, my brother says the typical knee-jerk stuff. Like, my brother was saying that, like, Eminem, there's this guy called Eminem, and Eminem apparently is, like, obviously anti-aging, too. And he says, oh, he's losing his credibility. He's supposed to be, like, a tough guy. He's like, I don't care. I'm not afraid of death. Fucking bring on the death. Whatever. You can fucking do that. I'm just going to go on record saying, like, not really into death. Like, I'm not, like, a coward, but I'm not... I'm definitely, if I between death and life, and between like looking good and looking like melting, I'll take looking good and I'll take life. You can keep the death, you can keep the melting. If that's your thing, if you like melting, if you like death, you fucking have at it. To each their own. But I'm on the side of life and not melting if possible. But I know the typical manly stuff. It's like, I'm not afraid. Okay, you have fun with your death, and I'll try to avoid it if I can. Anyway, moving on. But you don't want to get nuts like Michael Jackson, but you can get close though. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so what else do you want to talk about? I have to do my one side. So there's physical reality. So basically, I have to remind myself that I'm always tripping like a stoner. I basically my daily situation is pretty much the same. I can have a bad day immediately following a good day, but the general situation is basically the same. Physically, I'm basically the same. My room, I'm in the same fucking room. It's the same fucking Point Richmond day, but my brain is tripping out with all this like, oh, like I'm focusing on all this negative shit. And I know that I'm always tripping. I know that basically there's just physical reality. There's physical reality, and there's the passive physical reality, otherwise known as that's what happened. That's the truth. That's all that's like true. Then as soon as you start talking about like, no, it's not like that, it's like this, and life is about this, and oh, you should have done this, and oh, that's not good, and why did that happen, why did they do that, was that me, was that God's, was that meant to be, whatever. That's like a lot of like blah 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 blah. There's just a big interconnected, ever changing everything. Yeah, and my thoughts about the interconnected, ever changing everything are not the fucking truth. And so why am I tripping about some shit that makes me feel negative? Why don't you just think some shit that makes you feel good? All of your thoughts, Sean, they're not affecting physical reality, and they're not affecting the past. And so why are you wasting any thought dwelling on some shit that makes you feel miserable? It's not helping you at all. And so I don't know. I have to talk. So if I can't get a grip on my brain, I'm gonna help with my tongue, and that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm basically directing my thoughts with my tongue, because that's what thinking is. Thinking is some fucking words going through your head. By default, my brain is kind of nebulous and it floats around. It tends to fill in the blanks with a lot of negative shit. Or I tend to start listening to some other person, or somebody other person is going to say. They're going to say, or they're going to treat me, or they're going to react to me in a way that amounts to, I perceive you as some sort of bad thing, and I'm going to trip out about that for like hours, and I'll be like, oh, I'm terrible, and they think I'm some bad thing. Maybe I really am a bad thing. How do I know if I'm really a bad thing? It's all fucking bullshit. It's just physical reality. Call it what you will. I am what I am, but you can call it good, you can call it, what's the point? Just reminding myself every fucking day. I'm gonna forget. There's just stories going through my head, and some of those are other people's stories. Some people are gonna say, it's this, it's that, you're good, you're bad, whatever. There's a lady next door who says, you're great, Sean. There's other person on the other side of the street who says, you're a monster, Sean. Who knows? What are you? You're nothing. You're fucking nothing. It's just fucking words. The world is not fucking words. But for some reason, people can't exist like that. They have to say, no, it's this, it's that.
How is cyber
and I'm like, you guys
security attack would impact a rural hospital?
It's just physical reality. Who is Charles Manson? Charles Manson knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
People look at you today, 20 years later.
Charles Manson's on the judgment stand. Charles Manson's on the judgment stand. On a regular basis, either a voice in my head or a voice from the outside world is going to say, you seem to think that you're some good thing, but I think you're just a bad thing. I want you to think you're just a bad thing. Tell me, aren't you just a fucking bad thing? And he's going to say, I just do shit. I just do shit.
And they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
He just does shit. He does some good shit sometimes. He does some bad shit sometimes. People are mixed bags. They do all kinds of shit. I know a voice. I know on a regular basis, a voice in my head or a voice from the outside world is gonna say, "Come on, face it. You're just some bad thing. You seem to think you're good, but I want you to think that you're just a fucking bad thing." And so I have to remember that people are mixed bags. I'm a mixed bag. My actions are mixed bags. My activities are mixed bags. My reason for doing something is a mixed bag. If somebody says, "I can tell you're just doing this for some bad reason," I'll be like, "Oh no, maybe they're right. Who am I? Who am I to do good stuff? I'm probably just doing some bad stuff." I trip out about that all the time, and it's like, there's no way to know why you're really doing something. You can't look under a microscope and tell, I can tell you're doing this for bad reason. You can say, I don't know, who knows why I'm really doing it? I'm human, people are mixed bags, probably there's a little bad stuff in there, who knows what, maybe I'm a little fearful, maybe I'm a little vain, who knows, but also good stuff. Also, I want to feel good, also I want to enjoy my fucking life, also I want to stay fired up and excited about life. There's good things too. So it's not just the negative interpretation, but if I'm having a bad day psychologically, it's really just because I'm dwelling on a negative interpretation, either from some other person saying, basically amounting to, I perceive you as a bad thing, you should act as that, or feel as though you're that bad thing, or, you're bad, or that thing you're doing is bad. I have to remember that activity, that person, including myself or that other person, they're all a mixed bag. There's ways to perceive them as good. There's infinite ways to perceive them as bad. There's infinite ways to perceive them as good. Ultimately, they do all sorts of shit. There's a big interconnected, ever-changing everything. Whatever words that I'm currently using to analyze that they're not the full story. I can focus on different aspects of it. I can focus on it at different times. I'll have different stories about the same shit within like a different. The next day, I'll think totally different shit. So I have to remember that like I can always change my focus, and when I do, I'll forget the bad shit. It's not just the bad interpretation. But I have a limited working memory, and so my working memory is going to get clogged with a bunch of negative stuff sometimes. And I just have to know that I'm tripping. I'm kind of tripping like a stoner. You could sit in a movie theater and there could be some story that you know is completely fictional about Old Yeller and how life is terrible. They shot Old Yeller and everybody's so mean and we're all gonna die. It's even, you know, it's a story, like just some book that somebody read, but even just watching a negative story in like a dark movie theater, if it was like a written story, I don't know why they'd have a story in a movie theater without word or without pictures, but if they had that, you could get lulled and be like, oh my god, you could get lulled to tears. Same thing happens in my own brain. I'm gonna have some story, I'm gonna be tripping out thinking like, they think this and I'm bad and this happened and that means this. It's all fucking bullshit. There's just physical reality. There's infinite ways to interpret it. You thought of it as good yesterday, you'll think of it as good again tomorrow. For whatever reason, you got spun up into some negative things that made you think more negative things. It's just fucking thoughts. There's ways to think of it as good. You'll think of it as good again later. So I can do that consciously by trying to counter the negative thing with 3 positive things. Can you think of an example with that now, Sean? Yeah, I feel like it's bad that I lost my fucking glasses. And okay, so what are 3 positive things about losing your glasses? Well, it will show me that I can potentially live without glasses if we have a nuclear apocalypse and I don't have access to glasses. What else? It makes it so that I can't see people's faces. If I see somebody scowl at me and I'm like, they hate me, now I can't see people scowl at me, so I don't have to get all sensitive about people's scowling. What else? Good thing about losing my glasses. I don't know, teach me to be more. I can get like the glasses I had were kind of fucked up, but they made me look like a crazy person. The glass was crazy glued in place, and it was kind of like off centered, and the metal piece on the back would like almost poke me in the eye when I tried to put it on. So it's good that I'm getting new glasses. It's going to be safer for me. All right, so there's always positive interpretations. I just have to have the energy to summon up. It's not just the negative interpretation. I should know that I'm always kind of tripping out like a stoner. My brain's going to tend to fill in the blanks with imagined bad stuff, particularly if I'm tired or emotionally overwhelmed. And I am really tired today because I didn't get enough sleep, because I can't get myself to go to sleep on time. I got to work on that. Like tonight at like 8:30, really like 7:30, I should just, after the dog park, I should just lie in bed and video myself and just say I should turn off all the devices and just like stare at the ceiling for like a half hour, and I'll probably fall asleep. But if I just space out like browsing my phone or some shit, it's just like fucking 3 hours down the drain. Yeah, I'll figure that out. Anyway, I'm really frustrated, and I'm in a bit. See, I got spun up. That really is basically always happening. There's some negative thoughts, and they're gonna jostle me, and then my day is gonna get all disrupted, and then I'm gonna be tripping out about like fuck, and then like I'm emotionally overwhelmed, and then I'm out of control, and then I can't assert new thoughts. It's just, I should just go to sleep. It's once I'm really emotionally overwhelmed, I should just go to sleep. It's not gonna be anyway, but I'll get through the day. Anyway, moving on. But that it's kind of ridiculous. I'm like stumbling into negative thoughts. If I can steer it away early, it can be like a great day. But like if they start knocking me off course, and then I start thinking more shit, and then I start skipping my activities, and then it's just like go to sleep, try again tomorrow. Anyway, life doesn't go according to plan all the time. Anyway, moving on. Fortune teller. I'm not a fortune teller, so if my brain's can tend to fill in the blanks and imagine bad stuff. That goes for the future too. If I'm imagining some bad thing in the future, that's always just my imagination. I should discredit any imaginings that there's no evidence for. So I never know what anybody's thinking. That's always my imagination. Even if somebody says, I think you're a jerk, you could say, yeah, but you probably also think I have a good head of hair. You probably also think I'm fit for my age. You probably also think that I'm good at art. You're just not saying those other things. So the world is not words. There's multiple interpretations. There's positive ones too. But in a competitive world, people are usually going to provide various versions of you're bad somehow, and you're only bad. Face it, you're just some bad thing. You're not just a bad thing. There's good things about you also. But you don't have to fight with people about it, but it's good to summon them up in your head regularly. Moving on. Label. So right, there's going to be some label. The world's going to say, I perceive you as some bad thing. You should only act as that bad thing. But if you think about it, you don't always act as that bad thing. That's overgeneralizing. So if you think about it, you act in opposition to that. If somebody says, you're a weakling, not all the time necessarily. Sometimes I do some strong stuff. somebody says you're a coward. Not all the time necessarily. Sometimes I do some brave stuff. You can just do whatever you can physically do. You're not always any of those terms. But I don't know. Sometimes you have some bad days, but sometimes you have some good days. But you're not a fucking label. You can just do whatever you can physically do. It's easier to do that if you remember you're not a label. It's easier to remember you're not a label if you can get the fuck away from people who are treating you like a label. Okay, moving on. Disqualifying the positive. What does that mean? Right. So my brain's gonna get clogged with a bunch of negative shit. And so I'm going to focus on negative shit. Being grateful is a version of summoning up positive stuff. So I might think like, oh, my life is terrible because I'm 45 and my face is melting and I don't have a girlfriend. Yeah, but you forgot the good stuff. You have no cancer, you have all your limbs, and you're not starving. If you have no cancer, you have all your limbs, and you're not starving, you win already. The rest is just bonus. All right, don't get caught in other people's shoulds. What does that mean? Some people are going to say, or they're going to make some insinuation that you should do some awful shit with the only time of your life that makes you miserable. I'd be like, you should do that. I don't know. I'm not breaking any laws. If I'm not breaking any laws, if I'm physically or legally able to do something, I just want to do what I want with my time, and I don't want to get stuck in somebody else's story as to how you should spend the only time of your life. Yeah, moving on. There's a legitimate perspective that there's no free will. Can you substantiate that? Dude, I'm in a bad mood today. That's fine. I'll sleep a lot tonight. I'll get over it tomorrow. Moving on. Isn't it true that some top scientists today think there's no free will, but then some top scientists today think there is free will? Different, very credible people think both of those, right?
You're absolutely right.
All right, so people think different stuff at different times. And so I can think different things at different times too. And if you think about it, we weren't born thinking any of this shit. All these people who say like whether or not you think there's free will or whether you think there's a God, it doesn't change if there is or is not free will or God. There's just physical reality. Your thoughts about physical reality or my thoughts about physical reality, they're not changing physical reality. And so I just want to think the shit that works. So if I'm thinking about the past and I'm beating myself up, being like, oh, I should have done different, I made a terrible decision, I'll never forgive myself. Just be like, hey, there's probably no free will. If there's no free will, we really couldn't have done anything other than what we did. I forgive myself, I forgive that other person. But then if I'm thinking about the future, the rednecks are like, you are denying personal responsibility. That's the problem in this world. You are responsible for what you do. All right, well, can I change? Can I change your philosophy? If you change to my philosophy, your whole life will be different. Okay, change. I change. When I think about the future, I can change. I say, no, you can't change that fast. Why not? Well, why are you even arguing with me? If I can't be converted to your way of thinking, why are you even yelling at me about it? It's like, what's the point? You're not officially a fucking thing. People are going to try to say, I perceive you as a blah blah blah, you should always act as blah blah. But if you think about it, you weren't always a blah blah blah. You didn't always believe in free will, you didn't always believe in God. You can just switch. You can switch anytime. How many times do you have to pray to God to officially be a Christian? There's no official designation. You're not like a fucking label. But people are gonna say I've been listening to you and I think you're a blah blah blah, and you're like, oh no, maybe I really am a blah blah blah. How do I know if I'm really a blah blah? You're not a fucking blah blah. It's just fucking habits of thought. You can switch anytime. If you're having trouble with that, you can help with your tongue. But I just want to remember that you can just think whatever you can physically think. You can do whatever you can physically do. It's easier to do that if you remember not a label. And you can just help with your tongue. If you so that's what I'm doing right now. It's if I can't get a grip on my brain, I'll just say the shit. That's what thinking is. Thinking is some fucking words going through it. Anyway, what's your point? I don't want to think the shit that makes me feel terrible about some shit I can't change. So I'm gonna nip it in the bud and I'm gonna say, there's probably no free will. There's counter thoughts you can say to feel good again, and then there's negative thoughts that can make you feel bad, and you just gotta do the fucking work. You don't have to, but it's just if I'm having a bad day psychologically, it's really just because there's negative thoughts in my head that I'm just festering on, and I'm just like, dude, just get over it. Think some new shit. Think about it positive. Whatever you're thinking, it's not changing the fucking situation. Think the shit that makes you feel good, or do some good shit, but don't think the shit that makes you unmotivated and feeling miserable about some shit you can't change, like the distant past. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. All right. It's not a perfect process. There really might not be free will because nobody wants to have a bad day. It seems like there's just a stream of shit happening, and sometimes there's just too much negative shit, and I'm like, fuck, I'm washed away into negative shit, and I'm all agitated, and I'm like, fuck, how did this happen? Well, you got overwhelmed. You got overwhelmed with too much negative stuff, and then it knocked you off course. Just go to sleep, or read this thing to try to steer your brain into the fucking positive and be like, oh yeah, it's just fucking thoughts. Are you having a physical problem? No, then your whole problem is just thoughts and emotional states that your thoughts are creating that make you feel motivated or not motivated. As soon as you can, try to just steer yourself to the positive, or go to sleep. But it'll change, whatever the fuck it is. You gotta just keep doing shit, keep thinking shit, keep doing shit. If you row your boat towards a positive destination, you'll probably go to some sunny areas. If you just put it neutral, you're probably gonna get sloshed around to the fucking rock. At this point, I just want to roll my boat, but I gotta row. That's what I'm doing right now, rowing my boat away from the fucking negative shit. All right, so moving on. So I'm brainwashing myself. Why do it publicly? Because I get off on it. No, because it works. Because I'm not breaking any laws. Don't corrupt the youth. Win-win exchange. Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I gotta get on with my day. I'm really late. Time's a wasting. All right, Sean, what do you want to do? That's pretty much it. I just want to remind myself, in a world where everything, actually, that's it. I just want to read my thing. Really all I have to do today is just I have to do 30 minutes of burpees. If I do 30 minutes of swimming on the ground, I'm going to swim on the ground. I'm going to do some ground swimming for 30 minutes, and after that, I'm going to feel like $1 million. You gotta row you gotta swim. You gotta swim against the fucking tide. The tide's gonna fucking try to wash you into bad territory. Alright, so let's fucking swim. You can do what you want. Nobody's out there, right? You do whatever. You do you. I want to get myself to do this shit. The hardest part is just getting up off the chair. Dude, I really am like in an unusually dark place today. What's with me? Why do I feel so? I think I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I can't see very good. Like, fuck. This is really frustrating. Anyway. Just relax, Sean. Deep breath. I gotta wait 10 fucking days for the damn glasses. Well, that'll teach you, Sean. Actually, I've got some old contact lenses. They might, like, be really irritating in my eye. But if things get really too hard to see, I can put these old contacts in. Alright, let's do some fucking swimming. It'll be fine. You don't even need to see. Yeah, alright, so what am I doing? So I'm just going to swim. I'm going to swim on the ground for 33 minutes. No one cares what you do, Sean. I care. This is my channel. Alright. I want hot chicks. I want to see perpetual hot chicks all the time. I would, if it was allowed on video, I would just play naked women, but I can't play naked women. This is the next best thing. Everything's better with strong men and sexy chicks. They're gonna find that in the future. They're gonna have like a therapy where they just have like virtual reality glasses, and they're gonna just say like, oh, you're feeling kind of depressed? You should just have sexy chicks dancing in the corner of your eye all day long. Be like, how do you feel? I bet you feel like a little better. Life's not that bad. Yeah. And then like have some strong man talking some strong macho shit. You'll feel pretty good. Works for me. Macho podcast plus sexy chicks. Good day. All right. To each their own, though. Also, live streaming all day. Nobody's watching this, right? How is everybody else not doing this? I keep thinking is like, man, if I don't live stream for just a day or two, I feel fucking horrible. And so like, I just keep thinking, how do you not live stream and have like strongman podcasts all the time? I guess most people are, they have different things that ring their bell.
Into like when I would.
Some people live for the power. Some people live just to play the game. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, babe. If I ain't got you, babe. Anyway, I don't have time to sing. I gotta do this. 33 minutes of burpees. Boy, I really don't feel like working out today. But I'm gonna fucking do it. But I need like Jocko to, I need a boost. I need like a motivational boost. I'm in a bad mood.
Damn thing about take your vitamins, drink water. No law enforcement people saying you gotta understand. This is how you control a man. You gotta lean on his neck for about 8 minutes, 40 45 seconds, 46 seconds. No one's saying that.
And unfortunately,
Christ. Is that perfect or what? Could you imagine? Let me say some misogynistic stuff. No one's watching, right? Some man or multiple men have gotten to get naked with that woman and put their naked dick with no condom in and out of her pussy and orgasm into her multiple times. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being that guy? And then imagine that, like, the guys who did that, if they broke up, they have to just be like, oh, I've moved on to better things in life. Like, how do they not just go, like, nuts? How could they just be like, that must be like going into the gates of heaven and then just being like, I've progressed onto more satisfying things. Can you imagine that? No condom sex with a woman like that. Just even talking about it, I get endorphins. Anyway, but I can't have it. You can't rape anybody in this world. Those are the rules. And even if you could rape somebody, I'm not really strong or violent enough to rape somebody. But man, some men get to do that. Isn't that crazy? How could anybody? I always trip out about that. Anyway, moving on. Just looking at hot chicks and doing hard cardio is almost as like, it's not sexually gratifying, but it makes me feel really relaxed afterwards, and so it's like a next best thing. Anyway.
you know what they're saying? They're saying defund the police.
Yeah.
They're saying no more chokeholds, right? Which
I think it's crazy.
Yeah. If you want to get someone to be under control and you can't choke them, you know what you have to do? You have to hit them in the head with a baton.
Yeah.
7 times. And you got to risk giving them brain damage, permanently injuring them. If people know what they're doing, obviously, if people know what they're doing, we'll put a choke on. They'll wake up, they'll be cuffed.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Yeah, obviously. But, it's the people that are doing it wrong is the problem. The people that shouldn't be doing it in the first place. It's untrained people. But if you're a cop and you're in a fight for your life and you can't use chokeholds, that's fucking crazy.
It's insane.
You're going to get shot and killed, or somebody else is going to get shot and killed. Someone's going to take your gun.
Let me show you some of the idea of defund the police. And I understand the premise, okay? And this is once again where many people that say defund the police, they don't mean, hey, just get rid of the police. Of course, there's a fraction of people that are saying defund the police means we don't want any more police anymore. There's a portion of people saying that. There's some people that are saying, well, if we defund the police, we can relocate some of that money and we can do, better schools and we can put money into the infrastructure inside these neighborhoods. But here's the problem. You know what the police need more than anything else? They need money for training. And the way the police departments are set up, they do the most ridiculously minuscule amount of training for what their job is. So, as you know, I was in the SEAL teams. We would train for 18 months. 18 months we would train to go on a 6-month deployment. Cops, they get like 2 hours or 4 hours of combatives training a year. That's complete insanity. It's complete insanity. The thing I've been saying is cops should train 1/5 of the time. 1/5 of the time you should be training, whether it's 2 hours a day, 4 times a week, or whether it's 1 day a week where you're going to go and you're going to go through scenarios. You're going to do combatives. You're going to work with simunition. You're going to do de-escalation drills. Because it's really hard. I mean, being a cop is the hardest job in the world. And by the way, they're not going to have to worry about defunding the police because no one's going to want to be a cop anymore. Who is going to be fired up to be a cop right now? Who's going to think, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be hated by by a massive portion of the country. I want to be viewed as someone that kills innocent people. The recruiting in cop for police is going to go down so hard. It's going to be ridiculous. And then who are you getting? You're going to get people that are worse level humans are going to show up to be cops. So the training piece, though, they should do very scenario-driven training, right? Where you come into a room, and this isn't like super expensive stuff either. You come into a room, there's a person there, they appear to be compliant. You learn how to talk to them. You very quickly learn that instead of yelling them out of the gate, you say, hey man, what's going on? Hey, what's your name? You know, what's going on? We got a call here. Is everything okay? You just immediately de-escalate. Then you learn what to do when they don't respond the way you want them to respond. Then you learn what to do when they start to do something drastic. What's the best thing for you? And you play through these scenarios. It's just like jiu-jitsu in the fact that what makes jiu-jitsu good? What makes jiu-jitsu good is we can go hard against each other over and over again and not really get hurt, not really get killed, so you get really good at it. That's what you need to do in training for police. You need to go through these tough scenarios over and over again because you do get better at it. You do get better at it. You learn how to mentally detach and not get emotional and realize that there's other things that are happening. When you see the George Floyd case, a couple of the other cops, I think two of the other guys were complete rookies, right? They've been on the force for a very short period of time. No one in that group of four, obviously you got the killer himself, he's actually conducting the act, but all the other guys are not paying attention. They're all emotional themselves. Hey, stay back, and they're probably watching him saying, why isn't that guy moving? And they're just caught up in it. Whereas if someone would have showed up on the scene, or one of those guys had been through some good training in their life, they would have said, what's happening here? Hold on, my partner over there has been on this guy for 2 minutes. He's not moving anymore. I'm gonna walk over and say, hey man, let me take over. I got this. Go over there and decompress. This takes training. You have to train people. And I saw this over and over again in the SEAL teams, training guys. You get a young kid that's coming through training for the first time, and they go into a room and they're getting shot with ammunition bullets, or there's someone yelling and screaming, or we put Arabic women coming walking out of rooms. We'd have people get blown up with wounds. We would do this to them over and over again. So they realize, okay, I just gotta relax. I gotta take a step back. I gotta detach from this situation so I can process what's happening and I can make a good decision. Because, as I said earlier, no one is making a good decision when they're panicked, when they're freaked out, when they're scared. As a jiu-jitsu guy, when someone puts hands on you, you're not actually scared, right? You're like, oh, okay, I know what to do here. If you don't know jiu-jitsu, if you've never had someone grab you before, or you haven't had someone grab you in 17 months or 14 months, no one's laid hands on you because you got a badge and a gun. So people, when you tell them to do something, 95% of the time they go, okay, yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. But then somebody grabs you. You're instantly, your emotions are spiked, your adrenaline spiked, and the only way to overcome that is through consistent training that happens on a regular basis. You can't just train somebody one time. It's like ring rust. You know, you can't just train somebody one time and, oh, now I don't need to train anymore. No, you need to do continuous training. So that fact right there, if we want to help the police through these situations, we need to invest more money into them. We need to get them better training. We need to pull them out of the field to train and pull them out of the field to decompress. Because you ever done a ride along?
No.
Like whether you're doing a ride along, whether you're going into any situation where you're thinking you could be killed, and even if it's just a remote chance, but you're doing that all the time, and you're seeing on the news, you hear this, your buddy got shot, your buddy got whatever, this other guy got, taking his gun taken away. Like, that stuff happens. People get killed. I mean, there's been 31 cops killed this year. 31 cops killed this year. And a lot of those, that's not including, like a car accident or COVID. There's been a bunch of guys with COVID, but just people that have been engaged with bad guys and they got killed. So you're a cop. When another cop gets killed, you're thinking that could be you. So that's your mindset, and that mindset builds, and you're working 10-hour days, and you're working 12-hour days, and there's no training, and there's no breaks. Where do you end up? Right? Where do you end up? You end up being a little bit paranoid. You end up being a little bit angry. What happens when you get in a fight with your wife? It's like all these things, you add them together. It's a freaking hard job. And from like an entire system. Something about you is mine. Look at time flying by. Call you my cherry pie. Something about you is right. Something about you is mine. Look at time flying by. Call you my cherry pie.
don't want to make it unnecessarily hard for me. So I'm gonna go to the liquor store today, and I'm gonna buy. I don't even like alcohol, but I'm gonna get like a pack of Heineken beer, and I'm just gonna drink like 3 beers. I don't know, 6, enough to get slightly inebriated, and then I'm just gonna go to the class inebriated. My goal for today is I just want to go to this improv acting class, and I haven't gone for like 2 months, so right now it's like a big deal. But I know that if I go there for like 2 or 3 days, I'll show myself that it's not a big deal, and then I won't have to drink beer. But I'm just gonna drink beer because I just want to get myself to go to the damn thing. So my idea is like go there, do it lame, do it drunk, but do it. And so because that's what I want to get. Whatever is gonna get me to do the fucking thing. But I don't think that's good. I think obviously, you know, it'd be cooler to do it not drunk. But I want to, by hook or by crook, I want to do the fucking thing. So what's the point? Just it's not good to drink, but like I'm just using it as a little Cinderella magic slipper to get me to be able to do something which normally I can't really do. No one cares what you do, I care. It's my channel. All right, let's run through this. Nobody's watching, right? That's pretty much all I have to say. Also, the other thing I should do is like, I should go to this. They have a class. They have a bunch of different improv classes. I should make it easy for myself. Like I should try this class. If this class is like really unpleasant or inconvenient, go to another class. There's some class I can go to that will make it. I have to make it a manageable, enjoyable grind. What does that mean? Just it has to be something that I can do regularly that isn't like this traumatic, overwhelming thing. So if this class is like for whatever reason this class is too awful, go try another class. But I want to just go to one improv class per week, and then the rest of my time I'm doing my art stuff. So if somebody says like, you're wasting your time, you're doing this stuff, you should be true to yourself. I do that too. Most of the day I do my strength, but I can also I have 24 hours in a day. I'm gonna do my weakness. When I take a shower, I'm not like doing some new thing. It's like, oh, you're doing too many things. I just won't take a shower. I'll skip a shower. I'll go to the improv class. I'll skip something else. But there's just time. I'm not doing like too many things. What's the point? You know when people say that? What's the point? The world is not words. So I want to remind myself, the world is not words. What do you mean? I'm gonna bring up the sheet. This is my therapy. I don't care. You're free to do whatever you want. I have to remind myself I'm gonna be particularly off, and I'm gonna be particularly weird today because I'm kind of like freaked out about this class. So I cut myself slack if I feel like really keyed up or something. It's normal. It'll pass. But I cut myself slack for feeling kind of jostled today. I'm gonna be particularly nutty. I'm prone to be nutty today. It's fine. I'll get used to this. But right now it's like, oh my god. All right, so ready? Talk. What's the no word mantra? I like the no soul mantra. What's the no soul mantra? It's the devil. I'm doing the work of the devil. What's your point, son? Okay, so anyway, I have this idea. I have this thing that I say to myself every morning, publicly. I say it to myself publicly because I'm doing the work of the devil. I'm serving the devil. The devil is giving me secret devil pleasures in exchange for corrupting the youth. Really, yeah, I'm trying to tell you, I'm doing the devil's work. I'm talking to somebody out there, and I'm trying to convince you that you don't have a soul. So the devil can lure you off your God-given path. I'm doing the bidding of the devil. What's the point? I don't know, that's just a story. What's the point, Sean? I think it's good I want to remind myself, it's good to ground my life not in superstition. And so, like, sometimes I worry about that. I listen to Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen says you have a God-given path. When I listen to Joel Osteen, I believe in a soul. I believe in a God-given path. I normally pursue my God. I think my God-given path is to be an artist. I do the God thing also. But sometimes I want to do some stuff that's not my path. What's the point? I don't know. I just think there's stories. I think there's stories that people apply to the world. And Joel Osteen kind of, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Don't get crazy, Sean. I'm just trying to make this make sense to myself. You know, if there's, some people say if you don't do the will of God, if you don't do your God-given path, that's the devil. And if you do that, you're going to go to hell or something like that. What about people who, like, existed on North Sentinel Island? Like, what about like natives who were never exposed to the idea of God? Are they going to go to hell because they don't even know who God is? They don't even know Joel Osteen. They weren't indoctrinated into the do good stuff. If they were never told what was good or what was bad, how can they be blamed for just not doing their God-given path? And then, like, what about a kid, right? Like, there was a time before when I was a kid, before I even was told about God, what if I didn't do my dream? Like, what if there was some kid who was too young to even understand anything about God or what God wanted him to do or what his true path was? And let's say he did some like bad stuff. He doesn't even know what sinning is. If he like punches his sister in the arm and people go, oh, you're a sinner, you're like not respecting your family. If he then dies at like 5 years old before he even learns about what's good or bad, is he a bad kid? I don't totally believe it. I think there's just stories. I think if people who existed before, when people were cavemen, if they mugged somebody or if they, what's the point? When I listen to Joel Osteen, I'm going to believe in stories. I'm going to believe in a soul. I'm going to believe in God because I think it's just thoughts. I think you think the shit that you think because you're exposed to certain thoughts, but if you weren't even exposed to certain thoughts, I'm not sure how you can think something that you weren't exposed to. So what's the point? Maybe there's a God. There could be a God. When I watch Joel Osteen, I believe in God. If I was on my deathbed or if I was in like, they say there's no atheists in like foxholes. I'm sure there'll be a point in my life where I'm like, I'm so sure there's God. Like, oh my God, I have to go to, I know I'm going to go to heaven. I do believe in God. Sometimes. But I think believing is basically like an active thing. I think there's just thoughts. I think there's physical reality. And then there's thoughts, and the world is not your thoughts. Like when there's, in terms of physical reality, you could just say like, that's what happened. Like you can make a video of something, that's what happened. Now, my interpretation of that, or why it happened, or was that God's will, or was that this or that, I don't see like, if I don't see like God there with like a robe and a beard, I'm just gonna say that's a story. That's like, okay, was that God's will? Was that not? I don't know. That's an interpretation. That's a story. That's something that's thoughts that I'm applying. Like if I'm thinking like, why did that happen? Or was that God's will? I think that's an interpretation. But in terms of like physical reality, I don't see God. I don't see like, God, can you like show me who you are? All right. So God's not like coming out and talking to me. So I'm going to, maybe there's a God, maybe there's God's will. But if I go to hell and God's like, dude, you didn't do what I said. God, you got to like physically show me some shit. At least I will try to do good, but like, if I end up on heaven's gate and heaven's like, God's like, hey, you didn't do my will. It's like, there's no evidence of like your will. And then those people on like North Sentinel Island, or the cave people, are they going to hell? Like, are they going to hell because if they weren't even exposed to your will, those natives on like North Sentinel Island, they don't even have Christians there. Like, they're just going to do whatever they're going to do. I just think there's stories, but I could be wrong. Maybe there's a God. I'm going to think there's God. I'm going to do God's will also. But when I'm making others, I'm trying to just base my decisions off reality. You want to talk about this one time? No, let's just say this really quick. What's your point, Sean? I don't know. I think there's just, I'm just gonna say this shit to make myself do shit. I'm gonna be particularly nutty today. No one should watch this because I'm gonna be particularly anxious today. Get this point, Sean. Get through this back. I don't think there's a soul. I think I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a soul because right now I don't think there's a soul. But when I listen to Joel Osteen, I'm gonna think there's a soul. But if I want to get myself to do some new stuff, I find it more useful to think there's no soul because otherwise, I don't like the idea of being chained to some sort of like, that's me, I think it's more conducive to a growth mindset to occasionally not think there's a soul. And just think you can just do whatever you can physically do. But then sometimes I'll think there's a soul. Get to the point, Sean. If there's a soul, like what happens if somebody gets brain damage? What happened to their soul? If somebody gets hit in the head, they forget who they were, they get Alzheimer's, they seem like a totally different person. That'll happen sometimes. Is that person gonna go to heaven, or do they have, like, what happens to their soul if they have brain damage? And then if they have brain damage and they die, does the brain damage version go to heaven? Or does the 5-year-old version go to heaven? Or does the 50-year-old version go to heaven? It doesn't make sense. And then does an animal have a soul? If an animal doesn't have a soul, back when humans were part animal, did they have half a soul? And then if China makes like a half human, half pig hybrid, and an animal doesn't have a soul, does that thing have half a soul? It doesn't make sense. And so like, does a Venus flytrap have a soul? Does a tiger have a soul? Does a zebra have a soul? It seems like, to me, it seems like it's just a story. It seems like it's a word. It seems like people are applying words to the world, and that makes for some weird confusion. Like my parents, they played kind of a trick on me. For a long time in my life, at least till the age of like 2 or 3, there was just sights and sounds going into my eyes and ears and turning into thoughts and actions. And then eventually my parents kind of played a little trick on me. As far as I could tell, they said, you're Sean, you're Sean. And now I think there's a Sean. I'm like, oh, I guess there's a Sean. I think that's kind of like Coca-Cola. Like, what is Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola is lots of shit. Coca-Cola is like constantly changing board members and service workers and trucks and bottling plants. But really, like, it's a label. It's a label that applies to like what could otherwise be thought of as lots of stuff that's kind of changing. But if it changes too much, people, when they change into new Coke, they're like, hey, that's not the Coca-Cola we know and love. And so they go, okay, I'm sorry, I'll change back to like, we'll try to stay to the pattern that you understand. So that's kind of why I say this thing, is because I just want to get myself to do some new shit. I think this is good for me, particularly as like an older person, because I think sometimes people get sort of chained to these things that they think are their thing. They're like, that's my thing. There's a story in the Beatles song called Eleanor Rigby. There's this guy called Father Mackenzie who's writing a sermon that no one will hear. It's a common thing for like older people, is they think, that's my thing, or like, she's the one. Well, maybe she has a restraining order against you. Maybe she's dead. You should come up with like a new one. Like if you think like, that's my thing. Well, there's no, if Father Mackenzie is writing a sermon and it's like, I'm a sermon writer, that's my soul, that's my nature, that's my God-given gift. Well, the church is closed. There's no more like jobs for sermon writers. You can like come up with a new story. But what's my point? Just, I think that story, if that story is serving you, if you believe that like, I'm a plumber, that's my God-given dream, if that's serving you, if there's plumber jobs, cool. But if the plumber jobs are all gone, I think it's good to like say like, maybe that's just a story. What's the point? I don't know, that's why I'm trying to say this like no soul mantra thing. Also, I get, if somebody says like, you're Sean, then I wonder like, well, what happens to Sean when I die? And that's kind of a pain in the ass. I don't want to think that like, am I going to go into like infinite blackness when I die? I think it makes more sense that like, there isn't really like a Sean. There's just kind of like shit happening, and there's always shit happening, and there's other shit. There's like 8 billion other things that are kind of similarly happening. I just can't see those. The shit keeps going, and so I like that idea too. I think sometimes people create that fictional, an ongoing, like a word doesn't change, and a word is separate from its surroundings. But if it's in the real world, it's constantly changing and it's interconnected with its surroundings. And so I think sometimes people create a fictional ongoing heaven to create a fictional ongoing idea of a soul. Really, I think there's just shit happening. And I think if you think about it, you are always kind of changing. And so, what's the point? I think there's a big interconnected, ever-changing everything, and that kind of makes the world more sense to me. But in the midst of that interconnected, ever-changing everything, people are applying these words to stuff. And a word basically makes it seem like a thing is separate from its surroundings, and it makes a thing seem like it's not changing. But if it's in the real world, it's kind of interconnected with its surroundings and it's changing. And I think that's kind of how people like think of a soul, and I think that causes some confusion. So I'm trying to break that confusion. But after this, when I listen to Joel Osteen, I'm gonna believe in a soul. If somebody says like, hey, I thought you don't believe in a soul. Well, now I do. Now I do, because I just think there's just thoughts. There's just thinking is kind of an active process, and I think that like you didn't always believe in the soul, you didn't always believe in God. So if somebody says like, "Hey, I thought you were this," well, now I think the other stuff, because I think you can just think whatever you can physically think. That's just it. I find it easier to do that if I don't believe that I'm a thing that's like a fixed thing. But sometimes I will. If thinking I'm a fixed thing keeps me consistent, then I'll switch again. I didn't always believe this shit. I'll probably switch back later if it's useful. Okay, you think you're so smart, Sean. Not all the time necessarily. Not all the time. Alright, what else? Okay, so I don't want to talk about this for more than 10 minutes. So, all or nothing thinking. What does this mean? There isn't just it and not it. I want to remind myself. There's a bunch of illusions that words create. One of them is that, like, I'm going to think, I can't do it. There isn't just it and not it. So if I think, like, I can't do cardio because I'm looking at some guy doing, like, a marathon, I'm going to be like, there, you're already doing cardio. That's cardio. If I had a heart rate monitor on right now, that's going to be elevating my heart rate. Now I can ratchet it up. There's some lame level I can do it at. There isn't just it and not it. What else? Anything can be thought of as multiple things. So if I'm doing something and somebody says, that thing you're doing is bad, I'll be like, I'm not just doing that. I'm doing this other thing. And then if somebody says, well, that thing is bad, well, I'm not just doing that. I'm doing like 3 things at once. One of those things is good. But people are mixed bags, and actions are mixed bags too. And so even if somebody says like, there's going to be this thing where like, on a regular basis, either a voice in my head or a voice from the outside world is going to say, you're bad, or that thing you're doing is bad. if I want to keep doing it, I should think of it as good. So there's like a positive counter thought that I can apply and be like, well, I think it's good. But I'm really tired. This is going to be hard to get. Just say it slow, say it tired, but say it. Yeah, so there's some sort of, I can think of it as like, yeah, maybe there's some bad stuff mixed in, but also good stuff. So if somebody says, this thing you're doing is like a midlife crisis, they're basically saying this thing you're doing is bad. That voice is going to try to stop me from doing that thing. They're trying to poo-poo my thing. And I should just think, well, I don't think I'm doing it for some midlife crisis reason, but I don't know, maybe there's a little of that, but it definitely is something I want to do. It definitely makes me happy. It definitely is something that I have wanted to do for a long time. It definitely possibly makes other people happy. There's good things about it also. So just, I want to remind myself that like, even if that word, I'm going to try to counter the negative thought with some positive thoughts. But even if it's a little bad, even if there's a bad interpretation, I'll be like, yeah, but good stuff also. There's good reasons too, but I'm going to try to focus on the good aspects. I think you can do that with basically anything. I think you can think of you could depict anything as like bad. If I want to do it, and if I want to feel good about it, I should try to think of it as good. And I just assume the world's going to give me constant versions of like, that's bad, you're bad. I'll be like, well, I think I'm good. But then I like the idea of like, the last resort is, just do it bad. Do it bad. Who says you have to be good? I like that too. What's your point? Emerson, if I'm a child of the devil. So back in Emerson's day, he had the same problem. Somebody was saying like, how do you know that thing you're doing isn't from the devil? He says, he says, but these impulses may be from below. He says, well, they don't seem to me to be as such, but if I'm a child of the devil, then I'll live by the devil. So basically he was saying like, he was dealing with other people in the past in 1850, they were saying, that thing you're doing, it might be bad. You might be doing the devil's work. He's like, he tried to think of it as good. He's like, well, I don't think that it's bad. I don't think I'm doing the devil's work. But if I'm doing the devil's work, then fuck it. I guess I'm bad. I'm just doing my bad thing. What's the point? I like that idea. It's like, try to think of it as good, but then even if it's bad, just, I guess I'm bad. But I'm doing the fucking thing. I'm not breaking any laws. Like, as long as you're not breaking any laws, just be like, I want to think of it as good. I don't think I'm doing it for bad reason, but if I'm bad, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bad, but do the thing. Try to think of it as good, but last resort, whatever. Just do it bad. I like
Enjoy
that.
the
Okay, what else?
releases.
But there's a way to think of it as
Get
good.
MGM
You don't.
Plus,
Your
Paramount
reasons for
Plus,
doing things aren't like
Stars,
clear cut.
and
Somebody
more.
could possibly depict
Find
it
your
as like
favorite movies
there's
and
probably a
TV
little bad
on
stuff
YouTube.
mixed in. Who knows really why you're doing it? Like you could say like you're doing it because of this. There's no way to like really measure that. It's just stories. It's just stories that people apply to stuff. Really. Kind of like it's not perfect. That's the whole idea. Is there isn't black and white. Like there's shades of gray. Your reasons for doing things are kind of like there's lots of reasons. It's not just one thing. That's the whole thing is like it's not just one thing. It's not as simple as the words try to packet it as. And so there's a way to think of it as good. It doesn't fit under your neat little because this one word. That's the whole idea is like the world's not words. Okay, Sean, is that good? Yeah, it's moving on. What else? Mental filter. So again, no one should listen to this. I'm just reminding myself of these things. Because like any one of these little errors can like fuck up my whole day or make me quit. And so I'm just trying to remind myself on a regular basis. Because if I don't remind myself, I'll forget. Why? Because the world isn't words and I'm going to have some new interpretation in my head that's going to make me potentially quit. And so I'm just reminding myself like, don't quit. So keep going. Mental filter. Say this. I want to read the whole thing in less than 5 minutes. This is my therapy. Go. Alright, so there's a spectrum of stuff. There's a big interconnected, ever-changing everything. I'm going to have a few words that I'm going to be interpreting that thing. I have to remember that those words that I'm currently interpreting things with, they're going to pass. Like, I'm going to think like, oh, I thought it was good, but now I think it's bad. Like, I'm like, oh, I felt so good about life, but now I feel bad about it. Well, you felt good about it before. For some reason, there's going to be some new words that are in my head that I'm lingering on. I should know that those are going to pass, or I should just know that those don't cover the whole spectrum of like ways to interpret them. There's somebody else who sees life as that good. You could also see it as good if you thought how they thought, but for whatever reason, just I have to remind myself that those words, they don't cover the full gamut of the stuff. The words are going to take like a little snippet of the infinite ever-changing everything. So I should either actively try to put some new words in my head that make me think of the thing as good, or I should just know that's going to pass. I might be in like a bad mood or whatever, but there's some other way to think of it that's good. And the words don't cover the whole spectrum. People are mixed bags. Life is mixed bags. It doesn't. It's lots of shit. So overgeneralizing is kind of like that too. Like if I start to think, life sucks. Jordan Peterson says, life is an existential tragedy. Compared to what? Compared to what? There must be something in life that's good to compare that tragedy to. If you say life is a tragedy, then nothing is a tragedy. There must be some good stuff to compare it to. So if you say like life is a tragedy or everybody sucks, you're just in a bad mood. If you think about it, there's some people who don't suck. There's some good things in life. In which case, like, it's not all a tragedy. There's some good stuff. Maybe you're just in a bad mood. It'll pass, but try to recalibrate and think of the good stuff. Yeah, so grateful. Same thing with being grateful. So if I'm focused on my goals, I'm kind of focused on things I don't have. I'm like, I'm not an actor. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a girlfriend. Yeah, well, guess what? You already have your limbs, and you're not starving, and you don't have cancer. If you didn't have those, you'd be like, fuck having a girlfriend. I'll take no cancer, thank you. Really, yeah, you have the best things already. If you have no cancer and you have all your limbs and you're not starving, you win already. The rest of it's just bonus. So just think of it as like going for bonus points. All right, well, mind reading. I'm not a mind reader. So regularly throughout the day, I might think to myself, they're thinking this and that. They think this. I have no idea what anybody's thinking. If I catch myself thinking, they're thinking this and that, that's always just me thinking stuff. That's my imagination, because I'm not a mind reader. Really? Can you substantiate that? Yeah. If you just ask this thing. Isn't it absolutely true that a human is not, there's no evidence that a human is a mind reader. So I'm not a mind reader. Can I say that with pretty much absolute certainty?
You are absolutely right.
Right. So the ChatGPT represents the best of human knowledge. So if there were scientists who discovered that, like, oh, people might be mind readers, they would tell you that. The best of humans there's been humans who have studied this shit for a really long time. They found no evidence that humans can do any actual mind reading. So it's nice to know that I'm not a mind reader. I can rest assured that I'm not a mind reader. I have no idea what anybody's thinking. That's always just my imagination. And so I should just remember, I'm tripping. I'm kind of tripping like a stoner guy. He's like, dude, you're tripping. If I'm tripping out about, they think this and that, that's me thinking shit. So I have to consciously start thinking like, no, they're probably thinking some good stuff. I'll actively do that. Like if I think that person hates you, I'll think to myself, no, they probably like you. No, they said hello to you. Just counter it. Think some positive shit. Try to assume it's good until I know the facts. And I can just use my tongue. If I really can't control my thoughts, I can just talk it out. I'll say actively, I'll say like, hey, yeah, they said hello to you. They were nice to you. They smiled when they looked at you. There's a lot of evidence that person doesn't hate you. And I'll try to actively think of like 3 reasons why they like me. And then I'll be like, then I'll feel good. Because I think it's just thoughts. But if I sit there thinking like, they hate me, I just know it. They're thinking bad things about me. I'm going to feel bad. If I think like, hey, they smiled at you, they said hello to you, they asked you how you're doing, they like you. Those are evidence they like you. And I go, oh, I guess they like me. It's just a thought. That's always just my imagination. So I'm going to try to think positive shit until I know the good shit. But there's going to be some bad shit that floats in there. I got to actively replace it if I want to feel good. Really? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm not a mind reader. So it's always just me thinking shit. I should try to think good shit until I see the facts. Even if they're thinking some bad thing, they're probably thinking some good things also. So again, the world is not words. So even if they say, I think you're a jerk. Yeah, but you probably also think that I'm a good artist. You probably also think that I'm tall. You probably also think I have nice hair. You're just not saying that. So the world is not words. People are mixed bags. Like, the world is not your thoughts. There's just kind of like, there's lots of interpretations. It's not just that word. What else? Okay, I'm not a fortune teller. So in the future, if I think I know this thing in the future is going to be bad, same thing. I actually don't know the future. I can know that for sure. Can you substantiate that? Isn't it true that no human is a fortune teller? They can't see the future for certain. Can't you be pretty sure of that? Humans are not future predictors. They don't have like psychic powers to predict the future. Isn't that? Can't you say that with a certain amount of certainty? So what's your point? So you're not a fucking fortune teller. So if you think to yourself,
you are absolutely correct.
If you think, I know this thing in the future is going to be terrible, you actually don't know. You're not a fortune teller. I'm not a fortune teller. I think you could even say that about like, I know that when I die, this and that, I'm going to go to hell. You actually don't know. You don't really totally know what's going to happen after you die. So it's nice to just be like, I don't know. But try to think it's going to be something good until you know the fucking facts. If you want to get facts and try to guess on the future, you can do that. But like, ultimately, you don't really know the future. But you can like try to make some evidence-based preparations or something. Really? Yeah, prepare for the best. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst is good. Which one? Just, you don't really know. Ultimately, you don't really know the future. What else? Try not to make emotional decisions. So there's just physical reality as far as I can tell. The world doesn't have emotions. So my emotions about the world are going to change. I'm going to try not to make emotional decisions. What else? You think you're so smart, Sean? Not all the time. Not all the time, necessarily. Alright, what else? Labels. I'm not a label. So stupid is as stupid does. Smart is as smart does. Idiot is as idiot does. If you commit a crime, you're not permanently a criminal. Just try not to do more criminal stuff. If somebody says, don't try to be nice, you know you're just a little criminal. Okay, I'm a criminal that does no more crimes, and I help old ladies across the street every day, and I donate to charity. It's a meaningless term. I'd rather be around a bad guy who does nothing but good stuff, even if he's faking it, than a supposedly good guy deep down who does no good stuff. It's a meaningless term. You can just do whatever you can physically do. It doesn't have to have anything to do with what you previously did. But if you want to be a thing, you got to keep doing that thing. So the same thing, if you're not necessarily a good guy, you just got to keep doing shit. The idea is like, whatever the fuck I am, I just want to think, what do I want to do? How can I physically do it? Do I like it? Do I want to keep doing it? Then just do shit. But like you're not like permanently a blah blah blah. So that goes for the good and the bad. Like if you want to be something, you got to keep doing that thing. If I want to be an artist, if I do 6 hours of art a day, that's as artist as it gets. But I'm not just by default an artist. If I don't do art every day, I'm gonna get crappy at art. So what's my point? Just if you want to be a thing, you got to keep doing that thing. If you want to be a good guy, you got to keep doing good shit. But if you don't want to be a bad person, just try not to do that bad shit anymore. But you're not like a thing. I don't want to play the role of a blah blah blah. Unless I want to be a blah blah blah, just do shit. I just want to do shit. But you're not like a fucking blah blah blah. Okay, what else? Well, if somebody says you're a human, aren't you a human? Yeah, you're a human. I guess people fall into definitions of certain patterns. But in terms of actions, like if you stop doing human shit, what's the definition of a human? I don't know, but I think if you do shit that no longer matches the definition of a human, after a while you're not really a human anymore. Is that right? Yeah, I mean, what is a human? You look up the definition of human. If you can change yourself enough that you're not a human anymore, then you're not a fucking human. You weren't always a human. No one's always anything. Is that true? Yeah, like before you were born, you weren't really a human. You were a sperm and an egg. Before mayonnaise used to not be a thing. Let's talk about that. No one's watching, right? Do you want to talk about? Let me just say this one thing. For all of human history, up until like 1700 or 1800, mayonnaise was oil, vinegar, and eggs. It was separate shit. And then eventually some cook in Menorca, Spain, put them together, and he put together these formerly separate things. Oil, vinegar, and eggs. And he said, here, try this, to this other cook. He's like, this is mayonnaise. And he's like, that's not a thing. You just made that thing up. He's like, no, it's a fucking thing. I'll show you. And then he went over to other cooks, and the other cooks are like, dude, this is really good. What do you call this? I call it mayonnaise. And they're like, oh, that's good. Can I try this? Can I use this too? Yeah, you can use it. And then other cooks used it, and they put it in their little cookbook. And then the original cook came back to the first cook. He's like, look at this cookbook. Mayonnaise. It's a fucking thing. And then it was a thing. Really? Yeah, that's what a thing is. It just matches the fucking definition book, but it's really lots of shit. Really? That's as thing as it gets. What's your point? I don't know. It's just some bullshit. I'm just saying some bullshit. Catastrophizing. What does catastrophizing mean? All right, so if I'm tripping out at 3 in the morning and I think, this thing on my neck, it's a tumor. Look, it's like the thing on Google Image. I just know it's a tumor. That's just your imagination. You're just tripping. Just the facts. Talk to an expert before you jump to conclusions. I'm going to be prone to catastrophizing when I'm freaked out, emotionally keyed up, or tired. So right now I'm emotionally keyed up because I want to go to this improv acting class. I'm tripping. I should know that I'm going to be like tripping out about like, oh my god. My imagination is going to drum up all this shit. It's just my imagination. Just try not to just realize you're kind of tripping all the time. And cut yourself some slack if you're tired or emotionally keyed up. What else? Just at the end of the day, just the facts. Just try to stick to facts. Don't jump to conclusions. What else? Should. What does that mean? Don't get caught in other people's shoulds. So, right, some of the darkest times in my life are when somebody says, like, you shouldn't do that thing that you like. You should do this thing that I say you should do. Well, if they succeed in converting me to do the shit that they say, oftentimes I don't sustain it because I'm just like, after a while I'm like, I don't even like this thing. Like, how did I get roped into doing this shit that this other person said I should do? Oh, wait a minute. Like, they said I should do that. They don't care. Like, they're free to do whatever they want to do. I'm free to do whatever I want to do if I'm not breaking any laws. I don't want to get caught in other people's shoulds because I usually can't sustain it because it's not what I want to do. And if their influence goes away, I'm like, dude, I don't even like this. Can I quit? Do you care if I do this? Do you care if I do this? I don't want to do this. I'm just not going to do this. I want to stick to what I want to do because I'm more likely to like stick with that, because when those other people go away, like I'm going to go back to doing what I want to do. So I should just do what I want to do. And so what's my point? I got to be careful of that. I don't want to look at some person and think like I should do what they're doing. I can try to learn from some other people and try it out, but they're not like a guru. They don't know like all the secrets to life. Even if they have some good ideas, they're not me. So they have like a different path. They have different genetics, but just like if I get caught in their little thing, I'm always miserable. And so I'm just like, you do whatever you want to do. I do whatever I want to do. I don't really care what you do. You don't really care what I do. You're just trying to convert me to your little thing. There's no fucking rules for life. Even though Jordan Peterson says, here's the fucking rules. Really? I don't know. Maybe there's rules. If those rules are used, if you want to live by those rules, I find it kind of, I'll try some people's rules, but if I don't like them, I'm not going to keep doing them. Jordan Peterson, 12 rules for life. So Jordan Peterson's like, you wishy-washy postmodernist folks. What's the right thing to do? There's no right way to live. Here's the fucking rules. I like that. He has the audacity to just tell you, like, here's some shit to... Jordan Peterson can give you some shit to do. But, like, ultimately, I don't know. I just think that you can... If you're not breaking any laws, like, there's no necessarily right way to live. Really? Yeah, but if you have, like, a job at Google or something, or if you have a Jewish girlfriend... Just say that you believe the shit that they believe. Like if you want to keep your job or if you want to keep your girlfriend, who knows what really you believe, who knows what really you should do, but just say that you believe the shit that your team believes if you want to keep your job or something. But ultimately, you can just like think anything you can physically think. You can do whatever the fuck you physically. Which point? There isn't like a totally right thing, right? Yeah. Okay. So what else? Personalization. What does that mean? I think there's a legitimate philosophy that there's no free will, and there's a legitimate philosophy that there is free will. Isn't it true that a lot of the top scientists and neurologists, they say there's free will, and then a lot of the top neurologists and scientists, they say there's no free will? So it's possible that there could have been we could have not done anything different than what we did. That's very possible. Everything might have been deterministic. But also, it's possible that we could have done different things than we did, and it's possible that we can do different things in the future. Aren't both of those legitimate, quite possible scenarios for life, according to the top scientists?
Plus, stars and more on YouTube.
Yeah, so
You're absolutely right.
so you should be able to just switch. That's the whole idea. Is like, if it's in the past, if it's just ancient history, and I think it doesn't do a lot of good to like hate yourself forever and not forgive yourself. Unless that's like preventing you from doing something good in the future. It's like, it's just a thought. That thought, you can drum that thought over and over and be like, I did that, I hate myself, I'll never forgive myself. It doesn't do a lot of good after a certain point. Maybe if that prevents you from committing some crime, then I guess it could do some good. But I just think you should be able to just switch philosophies. Like if it's in ancient history and you're beating yourself up forever, or you hold some grudge, you're like, I hate that person, they ruined my life. Just forgive them. You can forgive them just by thinking, there's probably no free will. It probably couldn't have been any other way than it was. It definitely can't be any different now that it's like years in the past. I forgive that person, but for the future, I say there's free will. Let's try to like make doubly sure that we never do that again. Let's make doubly sure we don't let that person screw up our life again. But we forgive them. So I think it's good to forgive other people. It's good to forgive yourself, and I can do that, but just by thinking, there's probably no free will. It probably couldn't have been any other way than it was. But for the future, there's free will. I think I'm gonna do that. If I do something good, I'll be like, there's free will. I did that. I could have done badly. But then, so basically, like, if it serves me to think that there's free will, which is usually applying to the future, or if I do something good, I'll be like, free will. I did that. I could have done bad, but I did good. And then if it's in the past and I'm beating myself up because I didn't, I'd be like, there's probably no free will. I probably couldn't have done anything other than what I did. I like that. You can just switch. So I can switch philosophies, because if somebody says, are you a free will person? Are you a determinist? Are you a postmodernist? I don't know. Not all the time. Can I change? If they say like, no, once a postmodernist, always a postmodernist. Well, that's my nature. I'm not going to beat myself up. I can't do anything about it. But then if they know you could change, well, then I'll change later. I'll change. I'm just acting. I'm just thinking this way for a while. But I'll switch later, right? Because I can switch to your philosophy, right? Yeah, you could. If you switch to my philosophy, your whole life will be there. All right, I'll switch for a while, but now I'm gonna switch. So you should be able to switch. Either you can change. I like that idea. It's like either you can change, in which case you're just acting. You can like think the other shit later. or you can't change, and that's like your nature, well then you can't change. Then you shouldn't beat yourself up. Why is somebody even mad at you? You can't even be blamed for it. If you can't change, you can't really be blamed for it, and somebody can't really be yelling at you to change. But if you can change, then you're just acting. You're not permanently that thing. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Anyway, I don't know if that shit makes sense to you, but when I say this shit, if I read all this shit, that severely limits the ability for me to have a bad day. Now that I reminded myself of this shit, I'm less likely to have a bad day. Because nobody's watching this, but I'll think each one of these things, I'll think a few of these every single day. And if I didn't think these things, I could have like a really bad day. Because I used to just like be like, oh my God, I'll never forgive myself. Now I just be like, there's probably no free will. I forgive myself. Let's move on. But for the future, let's think good shit. Okay, now what do you want to say? So I want to remind myself, I'm going to get 3 snubs throughout the day. Somebody's going to snub me. I expect it. I'm not going to snub them back. I'm just going to thank you for helping me reach my 3 to 10 snub goal. Somebody's going to assert superiority. It's fine. Just remember, I have the same freedoms as them. Comparison, I'm going to compare to somebody who's way higher level. Just don't compare to that high level yet. Try to compare to how I was yesterday, or to somebody who's worse at something. I'll be like, well, I'm better than that person, but try not to compare. If the comparison makes me feel, there's infinite comparisons. Even that person who's really great, they're going to compare themselves to somebody and feel bad. There could be artificial intelligence and genetically engineered people that make us all seem hopelessly bad and stuff. Just don't compare to them, but you can just be better than you were to get to the next level of your little game. You just want to get to the next level of your game just for a sense of adventure. What else? There's some lame level I can do it at. So there isn't just it and not it. If I think I can't do it because I'm looking at like a really high level, there's some lame level I can do it at. Just do it at whatever lame level I can do it. If I keep doing it for like a year, then maybe I'll get better. What do you think, Sean? Yeah, there isn't just it and not it. Things are not perfect. You don't have to do it all at once either. You can do like it in parts. What else? Snowball. So, hold on. Nobody's watching, right? So, my best bet at getting good at something is I like to think of it as like a battle against chaos. I just like to think that whatever thing I'm doing, the world's gonna try to like disperse my thing. What do you mean, Sean? I know this seems ridiculous, but this is worth it for me to read, because if I don't think the shit, that can make me quit, and then I lose like a month of quitting. What's the point? So I like the world makes, I just assume that my thing, whatever my thing is, I've got like art, I've got my fitness, I've got jujitsu, I've got improv acting. These things I want to do, the world's going to try to disperse my thing. So like, if I want to be a thing, I got to keep doing my thing. What do you mean, Sean? I just like that idea of like, if I want to, you're not necessarily a thing. Like if you can do whatever you can physically do. It doesn't have to have anything to do with what you previously did. But if you want to be a thing, you got to keep doing that thing. So if I want to do art, if I do 6 to 8 hours of art, that's as artist as it gets. If I can do that for like 30 years, I could be really good. So I like thinking about these things as like sandcastles. The forces of chaos, the wind and the rain, they're going to try to disperse my sandcastle. I should just assume by default the world's going to try to make me be like, I forget my goal. It's too hard. Let's do something different. No, stick to my fucking thing. If you can stick to your fucking thing and invest time and effort to your thing for like 30 years, you could have a really good thing. Why try to do that? I don't know. Might as well try to do your thing better. Why? Because better is better than worse. Why try to do anything better? I don't know. Might as well try to do your thing better. Why? Because better is better than worse. Isn't better better than worse? Yeah, so might as well try to do it better. Why? Because better is better than worse. What else? But just assume by default, the world's going to try to knock you off your horse. The world's going to say, let's do something different. The world's going to try to disperse your sandcastle. But if you keep investing time and effort to your sandcastle, if you do that for like 30 years, you could have the biggest, bestest sandcastle in the world. But it's like a stock. If you continually invest in your thing, sometimes there's going to be down days. Some days you're going to fall off the horse. You're not permanently a quitter. If you quit, somebody goes, you're a quitter. Hey, I can restart. I can just restart. Why can't I start? I can get back on the horse. As long as you got breath to breathe, you can still reinvest in your thing. But the world is going to try to disperse your sandcastle. What else? Yeah, so it's like a stock. So there's going to be down weeks. There's going to sometimes if you just stuck to any stock and continue, if people continually invest in that stock for like 30 years, you could be like a millionaire. You could have something really good. But every time there's going to be down days. There's going to be like the stock's going to dip down. You're going to feel like, oh my God, like maybe this isn't the right stock. It's bad. I'm getting worse. Don't fucking quit. Like, don't quit for like a year. If you yeah, the stock will fluctuate, but if you continually invest in that thing, or if people continually invest in any stock and they stick to the fucking thing, after 10 years, it's going up. It's going to fluctuate. There's going to be like little down periods, but over the years, overall, it's going to go up. So I don't want to quit my thing for like a year. If after a year I haven't gotten good, then I can measure like, oh, I'm not really getting any better. But I'm going to have down weeks. I'm going to have down months. I'm going to have times where I think I'm getting worse. Don't fucking quit in the downs. I'm going to have dark periods where I'm just like, oh, I'm so sad. Just don't fucking quit. Even if you quit, be like, just kidding. I don't quit anymore. I'm going to stick to my fucking thing. But check back after a year. If I do it for 6 months and I still haven't made progress, then think about quitting. But don't quit just because you're having like a bad day or a bad week. Yeah, got to keep my snowball rolling through the ups and the downs. If you can't jump ship, just pick one stock and stick with it for 30 years. Or pick several stocks, diversify, but like don't fucking quit your snowball. You got these snowballs. If you let that snowball sit off to the side, it's going to melt. You got to keep rolling your fucking snowballs. Even if you let it melt a little bit, just get back on it and just fucking keep rolling it for like a year. Check back in a year. If your snowball's not getting better after a year, maybe change snowballs. All right. Hey, nobody's out there, right? I just want to make it clear, and I always think probably no one watches this, but if somebody's watching this, I want to make it clear that like, you can just do whatever you wanted. What am I trying to say? I'm not trying to bully or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to be like, look how hard these things that I'm doing are. I do these because they really do make my day better. Like, if I do hard cardio, I really feel a lot better. But if I felt fine not doing cardio, I wouldn't do that. And so, what's my point? I don't know. Like, I listen to Joe Rogan. Like I always say, on a regular basis, there's going to be a voice in my head or a voice from the outside world that says that thing you're doing might be bad. And so, as predicted, as happens every day, there's a voice in my head saying, maybe you're doing this for some bad reason, Sean. Maybe you're doing this because you're trying to show off how hard you can do. You're doing low-key bullying and trying to make other people feel bad about how much they don't work out. Just for the record, Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world, and he has lots of sex with lots of beautiful women. He has like 12 kids. His current woman that he had a baby with looks like a fucking supermodel, and Elon Musk doesn't do any working out at all. And probably in Elon Musk's life, there was some like bully guy who came up to him and said, do you even lift, bro? Do you even lift? You're not going to get me pussy doing that computer stuff. And he's like, or that engineering. He did like computer engineering and stuff. And so, he didn't listen to that. He's like, no thanks. Like, I don't like working out. I like rocketry, and I like, computer science and shit. And so now he's the richest guy in the world because he did what he wanted. And so I'm doing these because I want to do them. If I ask myself, like, what do I want to do? I want to do hard cardio. I like the challenge of improv acting, but I'm not very good at it. And so, but I like to do things that I am not good at. But, if I wanted to be successful, if I wanted to be like, really great at something, I would do like all day long the thing that I was naturally talented at. But I don't really like that. I kind of like the challenge of doing things that I'm not good at sometimes. But, different strokes for different folks. I think I want to make it clear, like probably no one's watching this, but I always want to say on a regular basis that like, if you want like a career, if you're doing a competitive career and you want to like get a job and a really good paying job, you should probably just go all in on something that you're really good at, that there's a job for. And then if you get a good job, you'll probably get a wife. Women tend to, it sounds shallow, but I think women do. They want like money and security. They want some guy who's going to be able to pay for them. So you get really good at that thing that you're naturally talented at, and then you'll probably get a wife also. And so I don't know if you want. Most people want that stuff. I don't want that. And so which one? Just I don't want somebody being like, I should. Sometimes like I would encounter like my brother or somebody, and he's like, I should do that too. I should work out too. I'm like, no, like I just do it because I feel depressed if I don't do it. But if I felt fine not doing it, I would not do it. So what's the point? I want to make sure I'm not doing any kind of bullying type thing. Like, look how strong I am. It's like, I'm actually a pretty, I have a lot of weaknesses, obviously, and so I like the challenge, though. I like the challenge of trying to overcome weaknesses, but, you know, what's up? I am kind of motivated. Probably no one's watching, but I am motivated by showing off too. Like, I noticed one thing that, like, if I don't live stream, I lose a ton of motivation. Like, I feel like, oh, what's the point of doing anything? Like, if I can't show off, there's something motivating about, like, the ladies are watching. The ladies are watching. They're wet with desire. You have to show them. You have to show them how many push-ups you can do, and that makes me do it. But just the doing, even if nobody's watching, the doing it sort of. I feel really good after doing like 33 minutes of hard cardio, and so I want to use the YouTube. I don't want the YouTube to use me. That's the idea. So what's my point? Sometimes I get concerned that the YouTube might be using you and using me to make you think like I should do that, and like, no, you should do whatever the fuck you want to do. And so that's why I do this. The whole reason I do it, one of the main reasons I do this, there isn't just one reason, but I don't want to talk a lot about this, but like, one of the main reasons I make this video is because I want to use the YouTube to get myself to do shit, and I don't want to get like swayed by the shit that I watch on YouTube. If I watch the shit on YouTube, I'll get swayed by their thing. I'll be like, oh, I should do what Elon Musk says, and then I'm like, wait a minute, no, like I want to do what I want to do. And so I'm trying to use the YouTube, but I don't want the YouTube to like I don't want you to get swayed by my thing. And so probably no one's watching this, but if you're watching this, just be aware that I swear that's fucking happening all the time. Like, monkey see, monkey do. And that's why I read that spiel in the morning, is because I want to wipe the slate clean and be like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I don't want to get stuck in somebody else's, like, I should do what they do. That's the whole, but I don't want to, like, knock you off your course. Does that make sense? I don't know. I always worry that, like, some person's going to be like, Sean, I've watched your thing and now my life is all off course and I'm doing a bunch of stuff that I don't even like. So don't do that. So no one's watching, right? That shit happens though, right? That's why I read the thing. That's why I read my spiel. I want to be like, fuck what everybody else is doing. What do I want to do? And then I try to get myself to do it. Because there's thoughts. I could talk about this all day. There's thoughts, right? Like there's thoughts. Sometimes they're your thoughts, but sometimes our thoughts are other people's thoughts or other people's stuff that they're doing. Like if you're watching the world, that's kind of your thoughts. And so if you're watching some guy do this thing, he says, life is about having friends and you should go contribute to society. And I think that a man should work with his hands. And they'll be like, oh, like you're kind of thinking that when they're saying that to some degree. And you have to like not get swayed by their gravity. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm always like tripping out about that. I don't want to get like knocked off course. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even like this shit. Like, how did I get roped into doing some off? Oh, because I watched that person and they convinced me that like, oh, I should do their thing. But I want to do it. So what's the point? Just don't let me. Nobody's watching, but like, don't let me knock you off course. Nobody's watching. Just look at me. Nobody's watching. Look at me as an example of what not to do, if anything. Okay, so move on. I don't care. Just whatever. Okay. I'm free. I'm free. Okay, ready, go. Hey. You ruined the fantasy. Okay. Ah, fuck it, whatever. No one's watching. Alright, ready, action. Hey. I farted. I fucking farted. Not funny, dude. Not funny. Your fart is very sad. I feel very saddened by your fart. I hope you detect the genuine amount of sadness from my face. Because I'm very sad about your fart. And I feel very, very, very bad. Oh, you feel bad? Oh, Jesus Christ. Who the fuck are you? I'm your mom. Don't you remember me? Get the fuck out of here, Mom. I'm doing serious business. I fucking hate you, Mom. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. Don't hate. Love. You guys should love each other. You should. That's the only son that you'll ever have. I know, but he's a fucking loser. He just runs around and collects people for the dead and stuff, and I wanted him to be a doctor. Look at him. He's so fucking skinny. I've been working out. Look at that. I got big muscles. Oh my God, you're a fag. You're a fag. You're clearly gay. I'm not gay. I want to stay in good shape. You're fucking gay. And I'm disowning you. I don't even know you anymore. You're dead to me. I am. I'm dead. I'm dead to everybody. I'm death, and I like to kill people. My son's fucking retarded. I failed as a mother. I have to go. I'm gonna go to the bar. Oh, hey, they're having happy hour. I'm gonna go get very drunk. Fuck! The orphanage is on fire. Yeah, I set fire to the orphanage. I have to kill some people. It's time for them to die. There's little kids in there. You're a fucking bastard. Yeah. I like to kill people. That's what I do. I'm trying to, avenge my evil mother because she thinks I'm a fag, and I'm killing all the babies. Oh, look at all the kids. They're all burning alive, and their skin is melting off. The humanity, the little kids. Oh God, isn't anybody gonna save the little kids? Oh, look at that little boy. He's on fire. He's really cooking. I'm burning. Oh, my head is on fire. I'm burning. My head is... Somebody put some water on me. We don't have any water. Sorry, kid. Fuck you. You guys are fucking bastards. I'm gonna call you guys are worthless. I'll call the fire department. I'll tell them you didn't even help me. I'm gonna take a picture of you and humiliate you on social media for not even helping me. I'm dead already. Oh, the little kid. I couldn't save him. He's dead already. Fuck. My feeble little hands. They weren't fast enough. I couldn't do anything about the poor little boy. Oh, hey, there's still one little orphan kid over there. My head is on fire. It's burning. My hair is burning. Can you pour some water on my head? Yeah, fuck it. Some water. Some water on your head. It's holy water. There. You should be fine now. I'm still burning. Your holy water didn't do shit. I'm gonna die, and it's all your fucking fault. Yeah, well, fuck. Hey, I got your phone, and so as long as you can't humiliate me on social media, I don't care. I don't care that you're gonna die from burning alive. Oh, you don't even care. You don't even care about my burning alive. This world is so cruel. I was given away, and I spent my whole life in an orphanage. Nobody cares. Time to die. I'm gonna die. But before I die, can I confess my sins? No, you die now. No, I think I can confess my sins. Sally upstairs in the girls' part of the orphanage, she had a doll that she got for Christmas, and it had little gold shoes, and I stole the gold shoes, and I sold them on eBay, and I used the money to buy whippets. Well, now you're fucking dead. Sorry, kid. I gotta take you away. Okay. I'm gonna escape. So the kid escapes. The kid escapes, and he doesn't die. He dies later, much later. And until then, he enjoys his whippets, and he recovers from his burns, and he finds a happy home, and he lives happily ever after. Yay! That was the best story ever. Thanks. What's the moral of that story? The moral of the story is go fuck yourself. No, the moral of the story is be nice to kids. Yeah. Dude, I'm really out of it today. This was not this. No, be mindful, Sean. You should say that it's good. I know it's good. It was a great story, but like, I really am kind of out of it today. I'm particularly out of it. I don't know what's going on. It's because I don't have my glasses and everything's all blurry. Dude, what am I gonna do about that? I think I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to stare down at my Wacom. If I have to do anything that requires like seeing things clearly, I shouldn't look at the screen. I should look down at the Wacom. I'm dying. Anyway, have a good day.